All right, great to see you guys. After 2 weeks, live stream 125. Let's go to a fantastic flipping quote. I was like, oh my gosh, that was so nice to see. The Italians are probing for weakness daily. Their guns thunder on the Isonzo with growing confidence, yet my men hold. Austro-Hungarian General Svetozar Brejovic, commander on the Italian front. And this dude over here, hopefully you can see him a little bit. Yes, you can. Excellent. Yeah, I really like him. But anyways, let's get into reality. Great to see you, Tolemykus. Great to see you, Charles Latora. I know that Harro Bosma said he may possibly pop in, but I know that he's celebrating his sister's birthday with a barbecue or something like that. And who else is here? William Arends, I'm glad that you mentioned what you said about I tried to provide the ATA in a different way. It didn't work. Great to see you, Meandering, Mike, and us. Great also to see you, Corvinus Wargaming. Wicked. William Arends, I'm just going to say this. When I didn't see your ATA, I thought, okay, oh, you know what I should do is pop on the, hold on here. Only I have to remove that, add that one to the soon. One on the stage. There we go. So at least that way you guys can start seeing a little tiny bit. Oops. I don't want you seeing at the very beginning. There we go. William Arends, yeah, when I didn't see your ATA at first, I was like, and then I was starting to remember what Brian R. Smith, Charles Latora, Meandering Mike keep reminding me and us is that this is just fun. This isn't a whatever paper, whatever show. And I was like, maybe, you know, William Arends is getting a bit stressed out doing or whatever. Anything you remember, like we're just here for fun, and everything that you've been bringing me has been just mind-bogglingly amazing. It's been such an enhancement. I will say this: I wish I had. Well, we got ahead of time. We got another 2 weeks. Oh, you're setting up the Ottoman sunset. Actually, I'm gonna pop that on there. Nice. Which one do I have? I think that's the one I have. I think you've got both the Habsburg Eclipse one as well. I don't think I have that one. Bloody hell, those boxes are heavy. I was really surprised. What the hell was I talking about with William Arends? Oh, William Arends, if you could find it, if you ever go back into your German newspaper things, which it sounds like you were because you were just trying to figure out a different format of providing the material, I would love to find out what they think about what's going on with the Kerensky offensive. I mean, that would be really interesting. I would love to know because it's fallen apart big time. Anyways, let's get into what the heck's been going on here. So yeah, we're going to be doing July 19th to 26th, even though I did add some little bits from last week. You're going to see when we pop into some of these quotes. Let me know what you've been up to the past 2 weeks, for goodness sakes. Like Charles Latora just mentioned, he's going to be setting up Ottoman Sunset. Live stream fact checker, I didn't check any. But I did find a lot of interesting tidbits. And if you see anything right now in like italics or whatever, it's probably a quote for newspaper articles and whatnot. And it's weird to see how this show or whatever is starting to go ebb and flow. Sometimes I've seemed almost like I was thinking this morning, like, is there any gaming related stuff today? I'm like, I've just been so focused. And I'm like, am I even like deviating from the newspaper articles? I am, but it just seems like lots of times it's just a treasure trove of information. It's just ridiculous. Anyways, there's been French mutinies. This one I did not find out about from the newspaper things. This is from Indy 9L in the Great War channel. But there's been French mutinies go along the part of the Macedonian front right now, which I found interesting just through the fact I'm wondering, did they hear about what's been going on the Western Front and whatnot? It'd be neat to know. On the 17th of July, the British royal family changed their thing from the royal house of Saxe, Coburg, and Gotha to the royal house of Windsor, as we can all imagine why. And then this here, like I said, in the italics, if you see anything like that, that's a quote. I just found it interesting the way they put things sometimes. The whole Russian front from the Gulf of Riga to Romania is alive with battle, and it's not going to go well. You're going to really find out, especially for anybody that sticks around for the after hours shows. Yet again, not very long. I was actually missing a day again. But it was almost didn't want to read it. If you're like a Russophile, it's pretty grim. It's like the collapse of the Kerensky offensive is in real time now, and it's just like, oh my God. I was reading it, you're just like, ugh. And these guys are trying to censor it, making it sound good. I'm like, eesh. Okay, and that's why I'd love to hear what the Germans would be thinking about. They must be just going mental. July 18th. Seems now to be turning definitely in favor of the French forces, which have shown their ability to withstand tremendous attacks. I just like this little way they phrased it. At the psychological moment, strike telling counterblows. I just thought that was neat. I'm like, when would you find that out? And then another nice thing, I just thought, what a cool term. This is submarine weather, July 19th. I don't know what the hell that means or like exactly the context of it, but I just thought it was neat. And July 23rd, yeah, I'm just starting to see this in the articles. The Russian collapse of the failed Kerensky offensive is now apparent. You're going to see it. It's just crazy. July 23rd, the summer is slipping away, and a considerable victory on the West Front at this time would go a long way towards changing the tune of the German Junkers and convincing the German people of the hopelessness of their struggle. I just thought that was, yet again, just amazing stuff. July 24th, Russian divisional commander is killed by his own troops when trying to check the Russian retreat. And if anybody knows exactly what that means, check the retreat. I don't know. Is that like some kind of like the rear guard action or something? That, if you guys know, I'd love to know because I have no idea. And then instability. And here we go. You're going to, at least I noticed the change of tune when the news people and the censors or whoever's in control of the news starts noticing that it's over. The Kerensky offensive is over. There's odds are, oh, thank you, Tolemykus. Is that, and exactly how would they do that though? Is that like some kind of rear guard? Like I just, because it said, like they said, the guy got killed by his own men. You'll see them change their tune awfully flipping quick when they start noticing, oh, there we go. We got another one. And what's that? Oh, he's just saying like above. Okay. Instability and moral weakness. Now it's moral weakness. The Russians, that's what their problem is. Certain detachments jeopardize the development of further success, which I also thought was neat finding out later on when I was reading up about the Kerensky offensive, is the fact, well, two things which I thought would be kind of good for a gaming thing is, one, the Germans end up sending 6 divisions over from the Western Front to try to stem the problem. They were saying, you'll see the article, we'll go to the page later, is a bit about it was actually the Austro-Hungarian forces that were starting to crumple against the Russians, so that initial success. And then the Germans sent over 6 divisions and stemmed the flow a little bit. So that would be one little gaming interest, I think. And secondly, it seems like there were sporadic defections of Russian brigades or whatever going on along the front. And I thought, boy, wouldn't that be an interesting little tidbit for gaming purposes of some way of like turn from turn. The Russian player wouldn't have a clue which ones are deciding not to. You make a move and they ain't going to move, or they decide now they're retreating and you're like, what the hell happened? I just got this great little attack going, and I'd love to see these type of things in games. Anyways, what if, and here's an engagement question for you I was thinking about before we get to the Tolemykus ones. What if at the Treaty of Versailles, guys, if you think Germany was broken up into something reminiscent of pre-Austro-Prussian War? So if they had said, you know what, we're not actually going to keep Germany the way it is. We're actually going to break them up back into their components the way it used to be. So here's Prussia, here's Saxony or whatever. I don't know much about Germany, but you get the idea. Would that, like, what would that happen? Would that have allowed the Soviets easier access to more micro states? Would that be a Northern Balkan, like we now have 2 Balkans kind of thing going on in a sense? I just would it be even more mess than what we saw in the interwar years? I don't know. I don't know anything about the interwar years to begin with. All right, then we're going to go off to the newspaper articles super quick. And guess what, Charles Latora? Because earlier on in the week you mentioned in the comments, I know I haven't done headlines in about 3 days in a row, which sucks because there's been some sweethearts. Like anyways, and you had mentioned about the British armored cars in Russia. What the hell's going on with them? Anyways, I went and found some stuff and some pretty neat stuff. Okay, we're gonna go zip the down quick because it's around 9 minutes. What the hell am I talking about? Let's go to the newspaper articles then. We'll go off to that. Hold on here. What are you? Like I said, we're not going to read the articles out. I just thought maybe you guys would find them relatively interesting. Maybe you won't. I don't know. I found them interesting. Anyways, here we go. And I'm going to share the screen. And I've got to share this little doodad. And away we go. British tanks aid the Russians. So there you that's in addition, I think, Charles Latora, to what you were saying. But here we go. British armored motor. Oh, no. This is the article that you were referring to. And I think that all brought it out. British armored motor detachments are taking part in the Russian offensive in Galicia, according to semi-official information received today from Petrograd. By the way, Petrograd's been under freaking hell in a handbasket. We'll see that later. Holy cow, what a mess. Well, you'll find out. This is the first mention of the presence of British forces in Russia, and says the armored cars are cooperating effectively with Belgian detachments sent there soon after the war began. No mention is made of the number or the date of arrival of the British detachments. All right, then let's go and find out. Why not? And I'm going to go and see if I've got it already set up. And I do already have it set up. Sweet. So we'll go to there. Boink. Hey, Brian R. Smith, great to see you. And boink, boink. And I'll pump this up a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see that. And there we go. We're just going to go very super duper quick. I just, because I didn't do a lot of notes on it here, but it's encounters on the Eastern Front. And I'll put these in the sources and links. I haven't done it yet, but talks about the Royal Naval Armored Car Division in Russia, 1915 and 1920. And where was the bit that I found really interesting? There we go. The comprising 500 men, 50 officers, 45 cars, 15 lorries, and 50 motorcycles fought under Russian command on 3 different fronts: in the Caucasus in the summer and autumn of 1916, in Romania through the winter of 1916 and 17, and the one we're talking about in Kerensky's summer offensive in Galicia in 1917. This article does not offer a history of the unit's military engagements. Tra-la-la-la-la. And we'll put it in there. Oh, really? Whoa! From the prairie wildfires. Holy smokes. That means if you're getting it, Brian R. Smith, that means I'm most likely going to get it later. I didn't notice it this morning, but that ought to, thanks for letting me know. I'm glad I did most of my stuff beforehand. Anyways, I'm going to, sorry, I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to get back to the narrative. There we go. Boink, boink, boink. All right. And there we go. So now and then we'll go back to the newspaper articles. That makes more sense. Hold on here. And I'll share the screen. And we're at 12 minutes. I'm just keeping an eye on things. So we'll get back to see what I want, other little funky bits I want to show you. Oh, goody. And this one isn't really as good as I thought it was. Because I thought it was going to talk about the British battalions not being mentioned. But he's actually talking about these Canadian ones later on here, saying that there's a Central Ontario battalion in the area around Lens that attacking forces consisted largely of men. But anyways, I just found it an interesting take on censorship, that the guy was like the opposite way almost, in a sense. Let's see what else I've got for, Chutes and Ladders. Erzberg, real Württemberg's son, slow-going, plodding German of the old school, win success. As we know, Bethman Holweg is gone, and Michaelis, some new dude, is in. I don't know too much about him. I think he was extremely ineffective. No kid gloves for Hun spies. U.S. more active in checking aid to foe from domains. I love, as you know, I wonder why it's doing that. You know, it seems, I guess I must have cropped it badly. There are many who believe, however, that anyways, I just yet again. There was something I thought. No, of course, that was it. Of course, this is what I loved, is that all persons in German include Norwegians, Swedes, Dutch, and other neutrals. As far as that's the way I look at it, that's what I'm bringing in my little head. Oh, you're put me both a bit. I guess it's all right there. I didn't fix that in, but anyways, obviously grab that for you, Brian R. Smith. What am I saying? I can just do this. Hold on. Watch this. What am I doing? We'll just leave it a bit here, but I'll edit. Boink. There you go. Nearly a riot in Montreal. Mob attacks Colonel Rexford and a Highlander at anti-conscription meeting. As we know, that's just amazing for me to now see like that there was not a major rift at first between French speaking and English speaking, so much so the way it is now. It's just amazing. Yeah. I'm not talking about the other stuff that went on before, pre-Confederate, whatever. 75 Newfoundlanders not dead as thought. I just thought was rather interesting as well that their prisoners must be amazing for the families to find out about. What else? Oh yes, this I just thought because I just love the ad at the bottom here, but I also yet again wanted you guys to see a whole full-on newspaper here. American anarchists are ordered free. That's what started it, and then is it the yes? Look at this thing at the end. Don't you find this cool? This is about. I'll get rid of me so you guys can see it more. I thought this was real. What an interesting thing. How can we stop wasting precious food? Look at all that. Mass meeting and convocation hall, all talking about food wastage and the whole thing. And this is in Canada. So as far as I'm concerned, yes, the submarine whatnots, are diminishing in their effectiveness. And I think the convoy system isn't even kicking in full gear yet. But you can see there's, I mean, if we're talking about that in Canada, for goodness sakes, jeepers jumping. Oh, this one was just a bit. I enjoyed the one of the where's the I thought there was a thought I found the thing of the day was in here. The humor of the day. Darn it. I thought I'd seen it in here. Because I was a funny joke. It was a funny joke. At least I enjoyed it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Down here, isn't it? Humor of the hour. It was about down that. Maybe I'll put it in the smokes and the smoke. I'm getting Charles Latora and Brian R. Smith. I'm reading your stuff, and I was like, smoke. I'll put this in the not in the smokes and links. I'll put it in the sources and links. And socialism and the war. I would love to go take a look at a bit about that again. Socialism involves this sublimation of the individual to the state. Oh, brother. Troop ships, submarines, and spies. What a cool name for a role-playing game. Or something like that. I love that. That's just so cool. VCs for the Japanese. I thought that was rather neat to see that they're getting some major awards. Well, that's got to go up, Charles Latora, for sure. Oh yes, warrants are out for Lenin's arrest, as we know. All kinds of things. I know. Corvinus Wargaming. Let's be flipping honest. I've been talking. I got to put Charles Latora's thing back on though. Is Tolemykus and me, I think, are in total agreement. There's espionage rampant. Actually, the book I want to start reading because I was like, I haven't done a summer blockbuster type reading, like a light reading thing. And I just remember again this guy here, the guy who did founded the Boy Scouts. So I thought, why not? I might as well read that. It's haven't started. I just flipped open one page and it's like, and the guy's like, I hidden behind the bushes or whatever, hoping I can see the troop movements without being detected. I was like, okay, I'm in. Yeah, I know, 100% Corvinus Wargaming. Anyways, yeah, it would be one. I hope we get to do something like that one day. Anyways, yeah, warrants are up for Lenin's arrest. We're going to find out all kinds of fun stuff. Hopefully, if I ever get to it, that's it. Thank God we can go to the thingamajig here. Hold on, and then I want to get into some good stuff for goodness sakes. There we go. All right. So there we go. Get rid of that. We'll eventually, we'll go to the Tabak crisis in a little bit, a Kerensky offensive, but I want to go down. I've been talking too much. I want to have some fun stuff. The Tolemykus engagement question of the week. Remember that this is coming from Tolemykus's logic puzzles that we're doing. Not all the time because I keep running out of whatever. But what were the risks of relying too heavily on coded messages during wartime? And I'm thinking a perfect example would be the Battle of Tannenberg, as far as I know. Oh, no. What am I saying? They didn't even use coded. They were using sometimes, but sometimes they were just sending them, I think, uncoded over the radio waves or whatever. But there you go. What were the risks of relying too heavily on coded messages during wartime? And now let me go off and see if I can grab. I have to go to whatever. And then, so we can go to WNN's. Is he around? Well, I don't see his. I don't see his channel. Oh, great to see you, Ashley. Hope you're doing well. You're doing well. Well, I don't see his channel. Goodness gracious, I hope he's still around, or there's something weird going on. Anyways, let's go to the perfect timing. And I actually had to watch a little bit of the live stream this morning because I couldn't remember who the hell got any of the points. And it was last one was with Lemberg, and it was actually William Arends that went berserk with the points. So he leapfrogged over Charles Latora. So I better pop him here. Hold on. Might as well do it now. Boink. There we go. Sorry, Charles Latora. And there we are. But Brian R. Smith's still ahead. But everybody's doing. I think there's a lot of. Look at you, Gamers Coffee, Ashley. You're way up there at 42 points. So not bad. Anyways, let's get into the trivia thinking about on the jigs. So here's your first clue. And anybody new up there, just take a look. Okay, thanks, Tolemykus. Because yeah, I was rather surprised that I didn't get his thing popped up, and he's got a huge a subscriber count, huge. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Gee, I wonder if this is even. Well, what am I saying? You guys are watching it, so that's all right. Anyways, let's get into the stuff. So anybody new there? I don't know. Like, remember, I don't know who's watching. But you get a point just for guessing, and if you get it right, get 6 points. And whenever we decide to end the round, I guess I'll try to figure out something nice for a prize or whatever. But let's just have some fun. And it's who or what am I in World War I? That's it. And I usually start pretty vague and then try to get pretty specific. And this one is, I certainly have been in the news recently, and I'll pop it into the chat. All right, hold on here. And who or what am I? There we go. Pop it in. Pickles. Excellent. Hold on. Actually, I was just talking to Zoe Dufour. You're going to get a point, Tolemykus, but you are incorrect. Is that I was just talking to Zoe Dufour yesterday. I noticed there was, those weird pepperette things you can get like at the stores. But wow, well done, William Arends. William Arends is Kerensky, being smart, but you are incorrect. You're going to get a point though, that's for sure. Had like one had like a dill pickle flavored pepperette thing. I was like, whoa, interesting. Corvinus Wargaming, using the brain, man. Thanks, but you are incorrect with Lenin. Oh, Meandering Mike says corporate mergers. Actually, there's a lot of wacky, weird stuff going on right now because everybody knows it can make. Yeah, they're buying up newspapers, remember, and all that. Yep, well done. Hold on here. I'm going to give you a point. Unless there's something you're trying to send in a secret message about what's going on in current events, which I don't know about, which is with you for sure. Hold on here. I'm going to provide this word. Give me a point. Okay, I'm going to give you your second clue. Boink. I was a journalist, freelance writer, and eventually took public office in 1903, winning a seat for the Center Party. Who am I? And I'll put it in the comments. I didn't put it in the banners. I did. Okay. Sorry, wasn't checking. All right. And there you go. There's your second clue. And let's get down to here. So what do? We got through the World War I narrative logic puzzle by Tolemykus, which would be great because you haven't had an option F in quite some time, which would be really nice to have. So we're going to zip on over to here. And then while we're getting it primed, which one is it though? It's the rescue of and here we go, Corvinus Wargaming. More espionage, the rescue of the Austro-Hungarian spy, 1917. Actually, I've been really excited for this one. Charles Latora says Kipling. Oh, nice. Charles Latora. You're going to get a point, but you are incorrect. Meandering Mike says Stephen Colbert IV. Wicked. You're going to get a point. You should get 2 points, but you're too. Well, oh my God. I don't know if this is hopefully it's not a bad premonition. hopefully it's just how many points you're going to end up getting at some point, Brian R. Smith, and not a bad premonition about like maybe smoke or whatever. But I don't know if you can see that. But I accidentally put in, instead of a colon, I gave you an extra one. So you have 911 or 911 points. Oh my God. Well, that's not like some kind of whatever. I don't know who that person is. So I'm going to put it up there so everybody can know, or you can let me know. I don't know who that person is, Corvinus Wargaming, so please let me know. And obviously you can assume that that is the incorrect one, because I don't know what it is. Who that person is. So there we go. Now I'm going to give you your next clue. Did I put that? Did I put it in the comments? Hold on, I'm going to check. No, I didn't. Just in case. All right. Oops. All right. Wait until I tell you what's the talk that's going to be on at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Holy smokes. Well, I can't stop. Aerial bombing in World War I. I'm pretty sure that's just straight up aerial bombing in World War I. I'm like, oh my God. All right, so here's your next clue. I supported the military buildup of my country in the lead up to the Great War. And the great thing is, as well, is that it's at 3 o'clock. So I get a bit of downtime, because sometimes like right after I'm like, oh, I'm too trashed from the show. So it'll be great. Boom. Well, William Arends, you did it. 2 in a row, man. You get 2 live streams in a row. Matthias Erzberger, well done. You're going to get it. Hold on. And I'll finish off the quotes. I'm just going to give you your points. Excellent. Yep. And that's why I kind of went, oops, when I showed the article about Matthias Erzberger. And he's got an interesting little, I feel sorry for the bugger. But anyways, let me put in I'll just put him in the banners. Well done, William Arends. And you're going to get him there. I'm going to go into the other clues. I was even the right-hand man of Bethmann Holweg for a while. And but by 1917, my tune changed, and I became a leading opponent to my country's war efforts. He certainly did. He was really supposedly anti-submarine policy as well. I was one of the people who signed the armistice, and I eventually paid for it with my life when I was assassinated by some of the stab-in-the-backers. And that was him. Yes, he did a bang on. The Squirtsburger. Oh, brother. We haven't got to option F yet, Meandering, my patience. Lord have mercy. I'll see if I can find a picture for him. Hold on here. I don't know if I... Hold on. Oh, I do. No, I don't. I thought I did. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, so forget that then. All right, so we'll get rid of him. He's, yeah, he's just an old, overweight white guy. How's that? All right, let's go into the World War I, rescue the Austro-Hungarian spy. Doom, 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 doom. Find out which one it is. I'm going to zip on down. It's going to make sure that I'm not... We still got a long way to go. Ooh, I got to... Oh, that's right. I got to do it down a bit. Hold on. Because it's still remembering the last one. All right. Okay, hold on here. Let's find it. Where are you? Checking the time. Oh, I didn't check the comments. I'm assuming that's for Meandering Mike's whatever. Okay, yes, we did the Ghost Army. And I'm going to pop yours up there. Oh, cool. William Arends. Did we do that? Yes, we did that one. 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 My goodness. We've done a lot. Holy smokes. This is crazy. I'm shocked at how many we've done, man. I'm not going to read out your stuff, but I'm going to put it in. That's a smart move, Meandering Mike. You're very, very. That's an excellent idea. Wasting time scrolling around. Okay, thank you. A note put in. I'll do it right now. Edit for show. Thanks. We shall do it. I'm going to pop Charles Latora's thing back. And here we go. The rescue of the Austro-Hungarian spy, 1917. By 1917, the Eastern Front was in turmoil. The Russian Empire was collapsing into revolution, and the Central Powers saw an opportunity to strike. The Austro-Hungarian Empire had planted a deep cover spy in Kiev, gathering intelligence on Bolshevik factions and Russian military movements. This agent, Josef Kovar, had obtained critical information about Russian airfield defenses near the Carpathians, which could allow the Central Powers to launch a devastating preemptive strike. However, on October 10th, 1917, Kovar's cover was blown. Didn't we do this one? Am I wrong? We'll go on. I'll go with it anyways because it's kind of like barely a little bit jiggly, but I had it. No, I think no, it is. We're going with it. However, on October 10th, 1917, Kovar's cover was blown when a Bolshevik double agent intercepted one of his messages. Now a fugitive, he needed to escape Kiev before he was captured and executed. The only way out was through the skies. A single Austro-Hungarian reconnaissance biplane, piloted by Lieutenant Otto Brunner, was dispatched for the daring rescue. The mission was fraught with obstacles. Conflicting intelligence suggested Kovar was either hiding in a church, a factory, or a train station. Russian air patrols had increased near the city, making an extraction risky. I'll know if we did it or not as soon as I see Meandering Mike's option F. I guarantee it. As soon as we see it, I'll be like, yep, okay. A false report claimed Kovar had been captured, but no proof was provided. Weather reports warned of a storm front approaching from the west. The Bolsheviks were rumored to have set up a machine gun nest near the factory. Nice. Question, as Lieutenant Otto Brunner, what is the best course of action to successfully extract Josef Kovar? A, land at the nearest open field and wait for Kovar to find the plane. B, fly low over Kiev and drop a flare at each suspected location to signal Kovar. C, coordinate with Austro-Hungarian ground agents to confirm Kovar's exact location before attempting rescue. D, quickly land at the factory where intelligence suggests Kovar is most likely hiding and take off immediately. Or E, which I'm going with, abort the mission due to the storm and enemy patrols waiting for a safer opportunity. Clues and false reports. A coded message from Kovar referenced an iron structure. Was it the train station or the factory? A Russian officer was overheard boasting that the spy would not leave the city alive, or whatever a Russian would sound like. Brunner's mechanic noticed unusual bullet holes in the fuselage, suggesting Russian spotters had already fired at the plane. A captured Bolshevik courier carried an old location report, which might be misleading. A flash of light was seen from a rooftop near the factory at the scheduled rendezvous time. Discussion topics. Oops, I screwed up, didn't I? Hopefully you guys didn't look down to, right, and add the answer in a different page. Goodness gracious. I'll have to put that on as well, because that's like perfect timing, Tom. I guess I didn't read your comment until I just revealed it. Oh, brother. Oh, I think we got an option F, which I haven't seen yet, which will pop in then. Answer. Nice one. That you guys are helping me out here. Hold on here. Let's get into the option F. Option F. Steal the holy samovar of the Kievan Slavonic Church, being large as an oven. Hide Josef Kovar inside and sneak him out during Sunday tea. This will become known as the Kovar-Sulovar Rescue. And, Meandering Mike, in honor of it, maybe they would make little treats or something. I don't know what kind of little I'm just going with your little bit. Maybe they could make hand them out instead of the little wafers there they give out for whatever at the church. They could give out little Kovar Samovar rescue wafers. I like that. Oh, goody, Corvinus Wargaming. You did not see that. Russian tea cakes. See? There you go. There you go, Meandering. I love you to bits. Well done. We'll pop your thing back on so everybody can see option F. And, oh yes, discussion topics. How important was aerial reconnaissance and extraction in World War I compared to later conflicts? What were the risks and advantages of using aircraft in espionage operations? How did the shifting political landscape in Russia affect Austro-Hungarian and German intelligence operations? Potato. Except this year it would be, as we know, turnip crumb cakes, for God's sakes, which would be god-awful, I'm sure. Anyways, where am I? How did the shifting political landscape in Russia affect Austro-Hungarian and German intelligence operations? What role did independent pilots play in the war outside of traditional dogfights? How did weather conditions impact World War I air missions, and how would modern technology have changed this mission? Oh, shoot, I didn't put your thing back on. There we go. Are we ready for the answer? Let's do it. Best course of action and reasoning. Best answer is C. Coordinate with Austro-Hungarian ground agents to confirm Kovar's exact location before attempting the rescue. While landing blindly, A, would be too dangerous. Dropping flares, B, risked alerting enemy patrols. Landing at the factory, D, was too hasty given the possibility of a machine gun nest. And delaying the mission, E, would likely lead to Kovar's capture. Oh well. By gathering precise intelligence before landing, Brunner could minimize exposure to enemy fire, ensure Kovar was actually present, and make the extraction as swift as possible. But I got to admit that, and I'm not being whatever, but if you think about it, option F actually does sound, it could work. Do you not agree with me? I think so. Anyways, I'm going with it. Let's get back to the narrative. Thank you, Tolemykus. Ooh, ooh. No. Oh my God, some of them, like 3 hours, some of them. Remember we saw a few weeks ago that, I think it was up an Italian, I think, made a major record. Just nuts. All right, community contributions. Oh, yes. The Grog Shed, as some of you guys know, moved from Ottawa. I traded a few times. He's been to my house, so we traded books. He's now moved off. He's, I think, he's actually on Vancouver Island proper, I do believe. And finally moved in, finally got his place, and finally, after it been many, many months, got his games out. And let's go and take a quickie look, because I've got, there we go. So you guys can see his games that he's got out. And I asked him, I said, can you like give us a choice of like 3 games or something that you would like to play? And that we could have like maybe a pretend little, we could have a pretend game or whatever to figure out which game you'd like, you're going to play. Would be kind of neat. Hold on. Let's see if I can show the screen. Boink, boink, boink. And there's his stuff. I'll put get rid of me so you guys can see it more. I've got it on the width angle, so we can just scroll down. I don't know which games you guys have of these. I certainly don't have. And what's that one off to the right? We'll never know, because he only did the bit one here, this one here. I don't know what the heck that is. You guys would certainly know. But that's, I don't know, were they still using that symbol? No, they weren't using that symbol back in World War. So is that like Napoleonic stuff then? Anyways, let's go down a little bit. Oops, I want to get rid of this. Oh my God, that's my Cobra game, or it used to be my Cobra game. I traded it away. There's my Ukraine 43 game as well. That's hilarious. No, not the Ukraine. I got the whatever, East, whatever. Doesn't matter. But anyways, okay, there we got that done. Hold on. I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to show the screen. There we go. And see what you guys can see. Boink, boink. And Harro Bosma, like I said, is his sister's birthday. He's hosting a barbecue to celebrate. Alexander Kerensky, surrounded by supporters of the Russian provisional government. That shouldn't take long at all. I think it's less than a minute. So hold on, let me get to it. It's not long at all. You can take a quick look. Then maybe we can go off and take a quick look at the Kerensky offensive super quick. Where are you? There you are. Looking at the time, 20 minutes. Oops, I went to the wrong one. There we go. Oops, it's not what I want. There we go. All right. What? It's only 15 seconds, so this is going to be a quickie. Hold on. All right, let me pop them on. There we go. Yeah, it's a quickie. Yes, it's only 15 seconds. He said, what did I write? Oh, well, I'll look at it later. But oh, brother, it ain't going well now. And there is. Not so good anymore, though, dude. All right, let's go to that. And back to this. All right. I want to go back up to the Kerensky offensive quickly, but let's go off to here very super duper ultra quick, I hope. So yeah, this is World War One and what's happening today. So World War One aerial bombing, lessons learned and forgotten. That's at 3 o'clock, Meandering Mike, which you're a member of. That's going to be 3 o'clock my time. I am super pumped. Mind you, it's going to maybe cut into the war room with you at 4 o'clock my time. Encounters National World War One Museum Memorial. Let's go super. These are all in the links, so we'll go super quick and take a look. So this kind of, in a way, Charles Latora is for you. But I mean, it's for everyone. But when I saw it, I went, okay, it's a bit of a nod for you because it's Italian. So let me get to it. There, and I'll get rid of me. And it's the 9th Field Hospital's chaplain stole that they would wear. And this one's from Italy. There, it shows you the whole thing. It's just a 3D thing, but I wanted you to see it there. And that's what they would wear, chaplain. And this is the stole let everyone know the wearer was there to offer spiritual help. It allowed him to freely walk among the injured, mainly badly hurt, and perform last rites for those dying. Along with religious duties, chaplains wrote letters for soldiers who were too weak or unable to write. Bloody hell, that must have been hell. Performing an essential role of keeping families connected with their loved ones during the war. That is brutal. I guess that's for, that must be for, I guess you're talking about Ozzy Osbourne stuff or whatever. I don't know. Ooh, I like that. Nice one, dude. Hold on here. Let me see what else I've got in the links. We'll just go zippity dip quick. We did that one. I want to get into the. So I would like to get. I'm not going to get into it now because we're running. Not really, actually, because we don't have an ATA or any of that stuff, and I'm not doing the week that was. But we'll see how we go. But I would like to look at this eventually. I'm going to pop this up a little bit more. But I've got this. I will put it in the sources and links. But a foreshadowing of the Great War in the Middle East, the Taba crisis in 1906. Okay, I get you now, Tolemykus. Thanks, man. Thank you. Anyways, yeah, I want to go and look this up more because it's got a lot of this stuff about talking about like even the pre-border stuff. And I was just like, okay. all this stuff I don't know anything about, which I'd love to know more about. So there, that's that. Hold on. Like I said, I'll put it in the sources and links at some point. Oh, this, just in case you guys don't know, I think it's ending next week. You guys can see this. Boink. Or is it over? No. So there you go. There's a 70% sale going on with Osprey Publishing. If you're interested, I want you guys to know quickly. If you don't get that newsletter thingamajig. Aha, this is it. Oh yeah, well, let's go to the other quickie. This one I wanted to show you. Boy, I would love to go to this. Well, really? I didn't know that. Thanks, William Arends. I didn't know he was trying to get there. I know he lived a lot live. There's a book he wrote that I'd like to get. This would be so cool. Oh, cool. Corvinus Wargaming. I'll put it in, like I said, I'll put it in the sources and links for sure. This I would love to go to. You imagine? Son of a bee. That is so cool. Anyways, let's continue on with the whatever. Yep, I completely believe you. I'm going to pop on. Oops, sorry, doing it too quickly. This I thought maybe you guys would want to. So we are doing a little bit of game-ish stuff, I guess. So this, I just got this notice from Minden Games. And I've got the Eindecker one, just print and play. But this came out. Just thought maybe you guys would be interested. Seems to be using the same system. I once had a neighbor who, what? Are you serious, William Arends? Holy shit. That is mind-boggling. My God. Wow. On a side note, I ran into somebody this morning who said, oh, yeah, are you interested in like the World War II? And I was like, no. And they were just absolutely like gobsmacked, perplexed. Like, why not? I'm like, I'm just not. What do you want from me? And okay, we're doing not too bad. I want to pop this up a little bit for the, so you guys can see the what I'm reading. I hope. I don't want to, I'll just make sure it's not too bad. So the Kerensky Offensive, the failed military operation that forced Russia and Romania to drop out of the First World War. I didn't realize that it was also going to have a knock-on effect about with Romania. And there's a good little segue to get Paul Hetterer back and start finding out about stuff, which would be great. And yet again, I don't understand why there doesn't seem to be an isolated game for the Kerensky Offensive or even a scenario. I just find that really odd, considering how momentous this seems to be. Anyways, and so here we go. Last attempt at the Russian army. Reading the whole bloody thing, I can tell you that much. But there are some things I did notice that I wanted to. There are really. Oh, you're right. Oh, that's a great way of putting it, Corvinus Wargaming. Do you know why? Actually, is the reason being is I'm thinking about back in the day when I had to go to university and they were like saying, oh, yeah, I've got to take an arts class to make myself well-rounded. And I was always thinking, well, I don't remember too many art students having to take science classes. So what the hell? But anyways, I'm going off into Wonderland here. I'll leave you guys alone. This thing I found rather interesting. I don't know if it'll. Oh, goody, it will. The military operation was thoroughly planned in the months leading to it. This is the Kerensky Offensive, which I didn't know. I thought it was hastily planned. Maybe it was hastily. Maybe it was put in ahead of time. But here again, starting to think about why didn't they coordinate this a little bit with the Third Battle of Ypres and Passchendaele and whatnot, especially right now. Haig has been, I think, freaking out due to the fact going, can we hurry up a little bit here? Like I said, fact check, don't always take me or whatever. But I think he's a little bit going, I think the wet weather is coming in. I think you guys know a lot more about Passchendaele and whatnot. All we ever see is mud from here to tomorrow. You guys saw some of these movies and whatnot. I haven't seen it. Passchendaele movies. But so why wouldn't they have it coordinated? You know, especially now when we find out that we're going to find out in a minute. Yeah, I think I already talked about it. Was that the Germans reroute 6 divisions over to help out what's going on with the Kerensky offensive. So they didn't. It's interesting. There was lack of coordination, which I find I'd like to know why there was a lack of coordination, because considering they're always talking about this is when we all go together kind of thing. I don't know. Or maybe the Kerensky offensive was sent off. No. Because it wasn't the Austro-Hungarians that were doing it was the Italians that were on the maybe they were trying to help out the Italians. Whatever, like interesting. No, I don't know. Oh yeah, they were saying maybe we should attack now or just wait. There's Kerensky. July 1st, and we saw they were initially successful. German troops managed to resist, but their Austro-Hungarian allies faltered. 6 divisions from the Western Front. Oh, brother. I'm leaving you guys. Well, I actually have to start showing some of your fun stuff. But this is what I found really interesting. The tactical counterattack grew into a large-scale operation. And for anybody that sticks around for the after hours, it's unbelievable. Look at this. Tarnopol's done. We start hearing about, remember this? The Battle of Marasti, the last big, my God, that was against Mackensen. I think they actually resisted Mackensen, for goodness sakes, there. The Romanians, Armenians, I do believe, and Russians. I'm pretty darn sure the Armenians were involved in that. Pretty darn sure. This I also thought was rather interesting. Thanks to the influence of the French, I didn't know that, the Romanian army had become so much stronger that strategic success is seemed out of the question for us, as long as the offensive in Bukovina remained at a standstill. There would be another neato thing to talk to Paul Hederer about. I didn't know if there's any French troops. Does he have French counters for the game that is not going to be, as we know, it's been put on ice for Lord knows how long, which is a bummer. Anyways, let's get back to, we're still doing pretty good for time. I'm rather shocked. Well, then we saw that. We're not going to run out of time, hardly. But I would, why did that? Oh, yes, there was, because it was the military thing. Because at first I'm like, why in the world do I have writing on a deadline? It's on writing, but I think it's from a military website. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys. Hold on here. Yeah, and it's a quickie after hours too. Not a very long one. There we go. Boink, boink. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. You guys should have your own bloody show. Seriously. Well, you kind of do. You go here and then you go to the Wednesday one and you guys, yeah, I love it. Anyways, but I'm serious. Like, you should have one. But where was it? Was it here? Was it just because it was a military site? But maybe it was. Of course, I've seen Michael Norberg. He's Nyberg. He's written. He's got a books behind me, and he's monster whatever for the World War I Museum and Memorial. But is it because of this? Let's go take a look at some of the articles. Thought maybe you guys want to see. Actually, I'll get rid of me so you guys can see it better. I'll get rid of Tolemykus. Woof. Goodness gracious, Tolemykus. Too bad he didn't get any royalties for the Skittles every time anybody bought a Skittles. But anyways, I'll put this in the sources and links if you guys want to go and take a look at all kinds of wacky whatevers. And let's see what else I had. Let's get back to the narrative. Share the screen. And we'll take a look. And I'm just going to go up and down, lickety split, but I don't actually think I'm going to go and look at some other stuff. That would be kind of nice. Okay, we saw that. We saw the stole. Go back up. So there were some interesting little tidbits. Maybe we'll go super quick through the very first. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. So this would be, I have to get rid of this. Okay, we're going to get back to me. Sure, why not? Okay, I'm going to get rid of him. I'm going to put you to here just ahead of time. We're 5 minutes. Like Meandering says, if I run out of time ahead of time, it's not the end of the universe. So don't have to go at noon. I got to remember that. Hold on. I'm just getting it kind of ready, but there is some stuff I would like to have kind of shown you very quickly. The first war summary very quickly. Darn it. Hold on. I've got my pages out. So if I can look at, okay, I do. Okay, good. So we're going to go quick because we've got a few minutes. Oops. I'm going to go to here. And then I'm going to stop. Just looking at my file manager thing. Okay. There we go. All right. I just want to see which ones I did write down some quick stuff. You see how small they are now. I look at this. That's it. It's just unbelievable. I thought I did. Yes, I did put a little some whatever. So I'm just quickly looking. I'll let you go as I run by here. You're gonna have to speed read or something. See how it does this weird? I always try to figure out the. Oh, hold on. There. See how it's. I get a much smaller picture, but you guys get a huge one. We'll see that there. Good. Just looking to see if I find anything. British naval airplanes. Arabia troubles multiply for the Turks. Okay. When did I start doing anything? Let's see. Oh, it's irresistible right now. Watch what we see in about 10 days, or oh my God, less than 10 days, like maybe 6 days, 5 or 6 days. Okay, well, okay. Nope. 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 Number 18th. Okay, so we got to get to the 18th. Oh, let's keep trucking along here. It's the 16th, 17th, and the 18th. And it's the second page of the 18th. What did I like? Oh, Kaluz has been evacuated by the Russian forces. This is here. Petrograd frankly makes the admission, and Berlin records the reoccupation of the town on the approach of the Teutons. The Russian troops, it is said, retreated to the southern bank of the Lumnitsa River, but report that they hold the crossing securely. This disposes of the great claims made in a Washington dispatch referred to yesterday in regard to the great sweep toward Lemberg. The probable reason for the retirement is the arrival of strong German reinforcements, those 6 ones we just talked about. It is not possible at this distance to speculate with any certainty as to what other causes may have actuated the Russians, but it is likely that the movement is not a particularly serious setback to Brusilov's armies. That's on the 18th. Oh my God. Wait till you see what happens. And then there's something about stories down here. I'm looking at the time. Where are you? Stories from the Dutch. British patrols. See, Germans might think they plied from freedom. Stories from Dutch sources that the British violated the neutrality of Holland in the attack on the German ships need not cause much anxiety. Several of the neutrals have been allowing the Germans a pretty free hand in their waters, and in all, that tends to the violation of neutrality, while at the same time energetically protesting against the Entente allies, taking away such advantages. The efforts of the allies to stop the trading between the neutrals and the Teutons in material for carrying on the war will now steadily tighten. I just love the way they justify things. What else? I think that's it. Nope. There's we're getting into the really bad stuff, I think, soon. Russian forces. Down here. We're almost finished. Disorders of a rather serious nature have occurred in Petrograd. So right now, Kerensky's at the front. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket back in the cities. And then Kerensky goes back, makes himself an uber dictator, starts riots in the street, shooting in the street, the whole 9 yards. But the government seems to be dealing with the disorders in a very energetic manner, is not hesitating in the adoption of severe measures. Whether these disorders, which it is reported have led to street fighting, which machine guns were used, are directly affecting affairs on the fighting fronts is not known. Russia has done so well of late that the Allies will be inclined to take a less pessimistic view of the troubles than would have been on the case a few weeks ago. Well, you're going to change your tune in a minute. I think, well, we won't see it until, we won't see it until the, until I get into the after hours, which I'm just about to do, because we're at noon. Alrighty. So I can get rid of this. Hold on. Boink. And pop it up to here. I'm going to make sure that I'm into the after hours live stream ahead of time. So I think that kind of went well. So anyways, William Arends, if you want me to, since we have 2 weeks until the next one, if you want me to contact you ahead of time, but my God, like I said, anything you give me, or even if you don't give me, just you showing up is fantastic. You've been just been ultra dynamite. I don't know how much else to say. I'm just so ultra grateful for all the efforts that you put in. And I know it's a lot of work. My gosh, it's a lot of work. And I hope you're enjoying it because I think we all are. Anyways, I'm super glad to see you guys. I hope you have a great remainder of your weekend. See you in 2 weeks. I'm about to pop on the after hours thingamajig and turn into a texter like you guys, and that's it. Thanks, and I'll let you guys know in 2 weeks how that 3 o'clock aerial bombing in World War I went, unless, of course, Meandering Mike attends and tells you ahead of time. All right, see you later, guys. And share the screen. Boink. All right, here we go for live stream 125. I'm going to say this. Well, let's start off with for July 19th to the 26th, 1917. First things first, this one is yet again shorter than many of them. There's only 10 pages, not 12. There's missing a day. I don't know why. And secondly, boy, oh boy, are they short. Some of these ones are very short. Thirdly, if you've got a soft spot for Russia, this isn't a good week. It's almost hard to read. I'm just like, oh my God, it's almost like the Gorlitsa Tarnów breakthrough, or for them, the Great Retreat all over again. I'm like, but this one, as we know, next thing coming is the Civil War. Anyways, British, or as far as I know, British shipping losses for the week are again comparatively low. The vessels sunk by torpedoes or mines comprise 14 over 1,600 tons, 4 under 1,600 tons, and 8 fishing vessels. The figures for the previous week were 14, 3, and 7 respectively. This is submarine weather. Gosh, I love that term. And as the German Junkers are now depending upon the submarines to win the war, the fact that the pirates are not keeping up with the figures they set as essential to starve Britain is significant. Yeah, but you guys are also doing bad too. It's amazing. It's almost like it's like a race for the clock or whatever. Beat the clock. The losses are still large enough, and the latest figures do not indicate that the reported innovations to check the submarine terror have been brought into play with any degree of pronounced success. It is more than likely that the steadily increasing mined area in the North Sea decided upon by Britain is having its effect in helping to stop the ravages of the subs. My God, if the convoy system isn't in full effect yet, and they're all, now the Germans are doomed. The patrol service is also growing in numbers and strength, while the number of armored merchantmen is mounting rapidly. But Britain is not yet satisfied with the amount of new tonnage that is being turned out to replace that which has gone down. Sir Edward Carson and Admiral Jellicoe have joined in an urgent appeal to the shipyard workers to use every effort to replace the losses And this is at a time when it would almost appear as if British yards could not undertake the building of, see what I mean? We're already on to page 2 of another ship. It will be surprising if the summer passes without a major operations in which the British fleet plays a more important part. On a side note, I was noticing today, if you're in Canada, maybe in other countries, but at least in Ontario and Quebec, if you're a teacher, your job prospects are monster. You wouldn't believe the classified ads. I was like, oh my God. Anyways, Russian forces are very hotly engaged with the reinforced Teutons in Galicia. As was anticipated, the Germans have rushed strong bodies of troops to the aid of the Austrians in an attempt to stem the tide of the Russian advance. The Germans claim the repulse of Russian counterattacks and the capture of heights in the Carpathian foothills and some minor successes on the line of the Lamitsa River. You haven't seen anything yet. Petrograd, which even under the old regime was usually very frank in recording reverses, admits that to the south of Toulouse, the foe did take some heights, but claims that these were retaken. It is not certain which of the two reports is the more recent. Berlin announces an increase in the fighting activity at Riga, which often has been mentioned in the dispatches by the Teutons of late, but the Russians do not report important fighting there. Watch this, man, day by day. It's going to, within 7 days, watch what happens. It's monster. Disorders of a rather serious nature have occurred in Petrograd. And here we go. Arising, and this is the same day, but I mean along the front. Wait till you see how massive the retreat is. In Petrograd, arising out of the disbanding of several regiments at the front, which the government held had dishonored. Remember, we read about this. Had dishonored themselves by refusing to obey orders. This, following upon the resignation of several members of the government, has upset the plans for the completion of a new and strengthened cabinet. The government seems to be dealing with the disorders in a very energetic manner and is not hesitating in the adoption of severe measures like shooting people. Whether these disorders, which it is reported have led to street fighting in which machine guns were used, are directly affecting affairs on the fighting fronts is not known. Oh boy, wait till you see. Russia has done as so well of late that the Allies will be inclined to take a less pessimistic view of the troubles than it would have been the case a few weeks ago. Oh my God. On about that, it's just amazing what we're about to find out. It's, well, I know ahead of time because I read, remember, ahead of time. Anyways, on about that front, the French have repulsed a number of attempts by the Germans to regain the positions captured on Tuesday. Paris reports that practically nothing is of importance for me except what's going to happen with the collapse of the Kerensky offensive. Paris reports that the attacks will be of the most stubborn nature and that the great losses were inflicted upon the Germans, who did not gain an inch of the territory they desired. Oh, except Allenby is about to start going towards Gaza, I think. The fighting in this area bids fair to develop into a sustained action of some magnitude, while it has been represented that France is not able to undertake a great offensive. But few will believe that such would be the case were Pétain to decide that the moment had arrived. In the actions fought recently on the Aisne and in the Verdun areas, the French have shown an amazing ability after nearly 3 years of terrific warfare to strike hard blows. There's no reason for believing that their commanders have been tied down to a strictly defensive campaign, simply because the last great attack carried out under Neville did not attain the success that was hoped for. And boy, we haven't heard a peep about the mutinies, have we? I think that's probably come and gone. Maybe I'm wrong. We got to find out. General Haig reports that the British have made further slight gains around Monchy-le-Preux and have been successful in a number of raids elsewhere. Aerial engagements continue on a more or less important scale. There's going to be one along the Essex coast in a minute. Petrograd and Berlin reports are agreed in stating that the Russians have again given ground along a wide front in the face of the Teuton attacks. This is a day later of the Teuton attacks in Galicia, following the refusal of some Russian regiments to quit talking and fight. There is a note of despair in the Petrograd statement that the Russians, disregarding their commanders, have continued their retreat and that the enemy is now on the outskirts of Tarnopol. This despite the fact that the Russians are numerically superior. The Russians' line to the south has been affected by the action of the forces farther north and is said to be falling back from its positions on the Lamitsa River and other points reached in the advance, which it was hoped would result in the capture of Lemberg and progress in the Carpathians. A brief line in the Petrograd official statements declares that the fighting has begun on the Romanian front and in advance of the enemy being checked and the foe driven back by counterattacks of Romanian troops. Alexander Kerensky, physically frail this time now, has harassed by conflicting interests among his own supporters. Remember, he was the Iron Man just a little while ago. Called upon to make repeated journeys between the front and Petrograd, has added to the burdens already placed upon his shoulders, that of the premiership of Russia. He replaces Prince Lvov, an amiable and courteous gentleman who has never been accused of acting aggressively or forcibly at any time. Kerensky arrived in Petrograd from the firing line in time to instill enough of his own high courage and indomitable energy in the authorities to bring about the prompt restoration of order in the capital. He is needed again at the front. If anyone can turn the tide, it is Kerensky. His task is one to daunt the bravest heart, but if he fears anything human, he has not shown it. On him, the hopes of the Allies for a Russia that will at least hold the foe on the Eastern Front are based, while the best elements in Russia look to him to restore stability in their native land. Wait until you see how they start talking differently in a bit. Desperate fighting when they know it's all lost. Desperate fighting on the Iron Front has resulted in the Germans getting a footing in the first-line French trenches in the Californie Plateau. I must admit, when I saw that, the Californie Plateau, I was thinking of Charles Latora. Just a little soft spot for him. There was a terrific artillery duel on this front on Saturday, followed by massed attacks with fresh troops at daylight on Sunday morning. Not as if I don't think of you as well, Hissy Cat, but I mean, come on. All these attacks were repulsed. Later in the day, the German attacks were renewed with powerful forces and resulted in the gains mentioned. The French report that the fighting still continues. Allied observers state that the Germans have concentrated a large number of batteries in this area, and the French official report speaks of the bombardment as being of unheard of intensity. The foe is spending many lives in attempts to wrest back the plateau, which is a most important vantage point, and may continue the attacks on the same prodigal scale in the hope of gaining it all, and thus definitely checking the French plans, having as their object operations with Lyon as one immediate objective, and cutting off of some of the German armies as another. On the Verdun front, there's also some spirited fighting in which the enemy made no progress through suffering severe losses and pressing some attacks with great determination. 21 enemy airplanes raided the Essex coast on Sunday morning, being eventually driven off by gunfire and heavily engaged at sea by British machines. There is no report of the complete result of the latter engagements, but one raider was brought down. Felixstowe and Harwich were the 2 points to which suffer from the raiders, the total casualties given being 8 killed and 25 wounded. Harwich was visited by raiders a short time ago, and there's been a good deal of criticism of just what happened then, but no definite statements or charges have been made against the authorities who have defensive operations in control. The latest raid gives added interest to a report crediting Samuel Samuels, what a name, MP, with the declaration that the British government intends to adopt a policy of reprisal for such actions. Mom and Dad, get some imagination. The British forces have made another slight advance in the Moshila-Prus sector and have conducted a series of raids at a number of other points on the front. I'm just saying for maybe your second kid or third or whatever. More important, perhaps, is the statement giving some details of a number of air raids made on aerodromes, railways, etc. by British aviators who have brought down a number of enemy machines. All the usual signs preliminary to an advance are being put down on the British front. It is certain that when it does come, it will be on a large scale, Passchendaele, Third Battle of Ypres, and with a big punch. The summer, I love this. The summer is slipping away, and a considerable victory on the West Front at this time would go a long way toward changing the tune of the German Junkers and convincing the German people of the hopelessness of their struggle. Every dispatch from the Russian front shows that the fighting area is rapidly extending, with no signs that the Russians have as yet come to a halt in their retreat in that section of the line between the Zlota Lipa and the Sereth rivers. One unofficial dispatch says that the Tarnopol has already been occupied by the Teutons. The Russian official story tells of the occupation of a number of villages in this neighborhood. It also adds that while re-establishing order among the units, the chief of the divisional staff, Colonel Old, was killed. Presumably, he was attempting to check the Russian retreat and was killed by his own men. North of this sector, in the direction of Vilna, the Russians conducted an attack which in places penetrated the enemy's lines for a depth of 2 miles, resulting in the capture of 1,000 prisoners. Here again, however, Petrograd officially declares that the instability and moral weakness of certain detachments jeopardized the development of a further success. Oh my God, talk about officialese. Holy Moses. This action was no doubt undertaken, or maybe it isn't. This action was no doubt undertaken in the hope that the troops used would have stamina enough morally to stay in the fight and thus relieve the pressure on their retreat comrades to the south. It is noted by the Russians that the conduct of the officers in the attack was very gallant, great numbers of them dying in the fulfillment of their duties. Yep. The Germans admit the penetration of part of their position, but claim that the most of the ground lost was won back with the exception of 2 points. They add, however, that the Russians renewed the attack early yesterday morning. The rapid advance of the enemy towards Tarnopol bids fair to outflank the Russian force, which some time ago was on a fair way to reach Lemberg, to such an extent that the ground won will have to be given up, and that our allies may have some difficulty in withdrawing safely. Here we go. The pennies drop, the coin is flipped. Now you're going to start seeing they have a different tune towards Russia now when they start talking about their own people. There is no definite statement yet as to the amount of material, including guns, captured by the Germans, but undoubtedly it is considerable. The other allies have made many sacrifices to add large quotas to the munitions manufactured in Russia and have time and again replenished the Russian armies. When the latter, therefore, lose cannon, ammunition, and various supplies, they are throwing additional great burdens upon the allies, who must continue to help replace them so long as there are any signs at all of Russia staying in the war. Premier and Minister of War Kerensky is now on his way to the Russian front. He has been given extraordinary powers by the government, and it is said that already orders have been issued to the loyal regiments to fire on deserters and retreaters from the Russian armies facing the Teutons. Canadian troops, described as a battalion of Central Ontario men, most of whom had not been previously taken part in the attack, have penetrated the German lines to a depth of 500 yards along a front of 700 yards in the region southeast of Avion, near Lens. A number of prisoners were brought back and many dugouts were destroyed when the men in them refused to surrender. It is said that the men who made such a choice had only been in Lens for a day, having come from the Russian front, striking proof of the fact that the German reserve is being used up rapidly, and that the resort to the old practice of swinging the troops from side to side in attempts to checkmate Allied plans is being resorted to. They got wicked rail. A feature of the Canadian attack is the fact that gas shells failed to have any effect in stopping them. The men were well prepared for such a move, and their measures were effective. Elsewhere in the British front, a number of raids were recorded, and aerial fighting proceeds on a very large scale. The Germans in their report pay some attention to the latter development and claim the shooting down of 8 Allied airplanes. A good deal of nervousness is apparent on the German front as to the intention of General Haig's armies, and greater use is being made of the faux airplanes in an attempt to find out just what those intentions are. Interesting. That means now that the Germans are saying that they're going over Allied territory? Remember, that was not their tactic. They were waiting for, wow, interesting. There's been further fighting of the Iron Front, the Germans making more desperate efforts to win back the famous Chemin des Dames. Their success so far has not been notable, and the positions they carried in the weekend fighting are under a steady and furious artillery fire from the French. From Palestine comes a report indicating that the British troops under General Allenby may soon make an attack on the big British-Turkish force in Gaza. Trench raiding has been inaugurated there on a pretty big scale by the British, who killed 102 Turks and brought back a machine gun, some trench mortars, rifles, and 17 prisoners. They also defeated 2 Turkish cavalry regiments, that's interesting to hear about, pushed out from Beersheba, where it is anticipated by some critics that flanking movements against the Gaza positions will be undertaken by a combination of British and Arabian forces, which have been successful in the revolt against the Turks. Berlin may be pardoned for the note of exultation in its dispatches regarding the Eastern Front. Yep, no kidding. From the Baltic to the Black Sea, says the report, in effect, bitter fighting is in progress and great successes for the Germans and their allied arms are occurring. Unhappily, Petrograd reports confirm to a great extent the grave news from Berlin sources. The latest official Russian report says that Stanislaw is being evacuated by them, that the Germans have crossed the south of the Tarnopol, defeating Russian detachments. All the gains made in the recent offensive are being thrown away by the defection of certain regiments and corps. The Germans are capturing guns, railway trucks loaded with foodstuffs and fodder, and munitions of all kinds. In addition, the Russians themselves are destroying vast quantities of stores which had been placed in a number of special warehouses for the use of the armies on the Galician front. At various points in the north, the Russians have shown that all the regiments are not of the same mind, and in the face of heavy artillery and machine gun fire, they have launched a series of desperate attacks. These do not appear to have gained anything. These attacks were made for the most part on the line north of the Dniester. In the south of the Romanian front, attacks were also made, and the German report leaves the impression that fresh fighting, which developed yesterday morning, is still in progress there. It would appear as though the Romanian army and the Russian forces in that sector have not lost their fighting spirit, are undertaking these attacks in the hope of aiding in a safe withdrawal of Russian troops who are in peril of complete annihilation. Elsewhere, German predictions of campaigns for Kiev and Odessa do not sound so vainglorious as they did a little while ago. I've never vainglorious. Whoa, never heard that. Never seen that word before in my life. That the Allies must steel themselves to tremendously vigorous efforts on other battlefronts is the lesson to be drawn from the Russian situation. Mr. Arthur Henderson, the Labour representative in the British War Cabinet, who had just returned from an extended visit to Russia, does not give much hope to the Allied peoples. He is quoted as saying that unless the situation is handled with firmness, there must be an inevitable disaster. In all this gloom, there are some gleams of light. It is encouraging to find that some Russian detachments are making a stand, that the pro-Germans and the anarchistic elements in Petrograd are being wiped out, and that Kerensky and his advisors are resorting to the sternest possible measures in their attempts to save the situation. In any event, what has happened on the Russian front, even should the hoped-for stand be made, adds immeasurably to the difficulties of the Allied forces. French troops, by a brilliant attack, have regained nearly all the ground taken by the Germans on Sunday on the Kasmat and Californie Plateau on the line of the Chemin des Dames on the Aisne front. These positions were only won by the Germans after most desperate fighting, and an estimated loss, according to G.H. Perry, a noted war correspondent at the French front, or Paris front, of 100,000 men. The plateau which the German Crown Prince's men have fought so desperately to regain were won by the French in a very short time. The Germans have repeated attempts to regain the whole of the Chemin des Dames, and in all have made over 40 assaults on a large scale in the 3 months since they lost it. Mr. Paris, who has previously been quoted, finds some difficulty in accounting for the blind and savage obstinacy of the enemy's efforts to win back this line. He arrives at the conclusion that the foe is actuated by the hope of forcing the pace before the American army comes into play. Interesting. The French forces have put a very decided crimp into that hope by their victory of yesterday. There was some heavy artillery fighting in the Meuse sector, but no infantry engagements of importance. General Haig does not report anything but raiding operations on the British front, but the German War Office gives an intimation that the big attack by the British is apparently appreciably nearer. In its official statement yesterday, Berlin says that an artillery battle of an intensity never previously paralleled is raging day and night in Flanders. Most military commentators are agreed in the view that the next British attack will be attempted on a scale that has had no parallel since the British armies definitely assumed the offensive. A combined land and sea attack on the Belgian front may come at any moment, though it is possible that General Haig may strike a hard blow at some other point. In warfare such as that now proceeding on the West Front, however, real surprise attacks on a big scale are seldom possible. It is essential that tremendous artillery preparation should precede forward movements wherever the enemy is strong enough to make a determined stand, and this wipes out most of the elements of surprise. The Turks in Palestine report a number of British attacks around Gaza, which they claim were repulsed with loss. This is probably an echo of the inauguration of the trench raiding by the British, which has already resulted in some measure of success. Hold on, I'm going to hit a pause. All right, here we go. Romanian and Russian troops have won a victory of some importance in the South Carpathians, capturing 2 villages, several hundred prisoners, and 19 guns, including some heavy ones. The date of battle is not given, but the statement is made that the powerfully organized enemy line has been broken on an extensive front. Berlin in admitting the defeat, but, as in the case of the Romanian report, admitting to mention the date of the fighting, refers to it as a rapidly developed thrust. Oh my God, wouldn't that be so cool if William Arends could actually find that actual article where it says rapidly developed thrust? I wonder if we could find that in a previous one. Because I think I've seen that term before. That'll be interesting. Anyways, the Russo-Romanians, according to Berlin, were brought to a standstill in a protected position situated immediately to the west. There have been indications for some time past that Romanian forces and their Russian allies in Romania have been ready to strike. It had been hoped that this would come as a part of the Russian advance against the foe in Galicia, which once promised so much, but it looks now as though the attack had been made with a view to assisting with the withdrawal of the Russian forces on other fronts. There is this to be noted, however, that the Berlin report of last night, while recording still further advances in various areas on the Eastern Front, speaks also of a number of strong Russian attacks. These include an attempt on the part of the Russians to retake some rising ground on the plain of the Sareth between Tarnopol and Trembola. This, Berlin says, was defeated under the eyes of the Kaiser, who for the first time in many months is witnessing a genuine advance on a large scale by his armies, which have had a number of defeats on other fronts. Tarnopol, Stanislaw, and a number of other important points are in the hands of the enemy, who is now drawing nearer to Bukaz. The hopeful features in the situation are that some portions of the Russian forces are still capable of taking the offensive, and the success won in the Carpathians, even though that may not be followed up. It is of interest to note that in the fighting of the past few days, the Women's Russian Regiment has acquitted itself creditably under fire, while a number of the regular regiments have been disgracefully retreating. German East Africa will soon be German no more. The campaign there has been a very trying one. Well, you should tell Lato Horvath that. Carried out under the amazing difficulties in regard to transportation of supplies and men. The main body of the enemy, it is officially announced, has been once more defeated by the British. Large numbers of the foe were killed and wounded, and the enemy was driven from all his positions on an advantageous point. He is now in full retreat to the southern portion of the colony, with very little chance of being able to hold out much longer. In Portuguese East Africa, a German force has also suffered another defeat, and the pursuit is being maintained. 21 British vessels of more than 1,600 tons each and 3 of less than 1,600 tons, with 1 fishing vessel, were sunk last week by mines or submarines, according to an official report. This is an increase of 7 vessels in the larger tonnage and a decrease of 7 in the number of fishing vessels sunk. The report was also made during the day of the sinking of an auxiliary cruiser, a former merchant vessel of some 12,000 tons, and Berlin reported the sinking by one of its own U-boats of a British submarine, C-34, a 313-ton vessel built in 1909 and carrying 16 men. Oh, hold on here. I'm going to hit the pause button so I can write that down and see if we can find a picture of it later. Kerplunk. I'm not doing it now, but maybe I'll put it in the original one. But boy, if I had known that ahead of time, you know what I mean? I obviously didn't read carefully. Anyways, the German report says that 1 man was saved. There's apparently no indication yet of the intention of the British to make any official announcements regarding the number of German submarines that have been sunk, but it is again unofficially asserted that the number is steadily increasing. The Allied conference in Paris, in addition to discussing the general situation in the Balkans, is likely to issue a joint reply in answer to the speech of the German Chancellor. This has been the monster thing, hasn't it? At least for me. Well, what am I saying, the monster thing? I was talking about the Russian collapse, and it's like, oh, so von Bethmann Holdweg, for goodness sakes. The press of Austria, it is said, is publishing articles indicating that the Allies are liable to regard in a favorable spirit the conceptions of the Chancellor's speech, and it is desired to remove all doubt on this point. In regard to the Balkans, the impression that some portions of the Allied force may be removed from the Macedonian area as soon as Greek troops are ready to replace them seems to be gaining ground. In fact, it would not be surprising to find that General Allenby's force in Palestine has received considerable reinforcements from Salonika to be used in the next forward movement against the Turks. On the West Front, another German attack against the positions retaken by the French on the Californie Plateau has failed, with heavy losses, and the gains have all been maintained. The British official reports deal only with raids east and northeast of Ypres, and which 114 prisoners were taken. and at other points on the front, and a slight gain on a 200-yard front by the foe near Monchy-le-Preux. Zeebrugge, the German submarine base in Belgium, has been heavily bombed. Oops. Is that it? That is it. That's right. Holy shoot. I completely forgot. Remember I was saying I thought there was, I'm just so used to doing 12 pages. Oh my God, that is the end of it. All right, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that and hope you have a good remainder of your weekend. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. And then eventually I think we're going up back to once a week. We'll see how that goes. Okay, see you later. Bye. Yeah, that was an interesting ending. I like doing that. I was like, oh, darn. Like I said, I didn't get to use the Meandering Mike shirt, so might as well do it, and let's have a bit of fun. All right. See you later, guys. Well, wait a minute. William Arends said a tiny little bit extra here. It is not only the time of troubles that will befall Russia after the October Revolution, but the way that World War I and the world events that it will create will disrupt and destroy peace. Oh, big, yeah. Like I said, I was talking to somebody this morning, and they were asking me about World War II, like if I was into it. I was like, not really. And then they were like, how the hell did you end up getting into World War I? I was mentioning about that. It just started with a board game, actually. And remember, The World Undone East Prussia. It was just seemed like an easy game to start. And then after that, I was like, seems like a rather interesting conflict. And it wasn't too distant. Like I could still relate to the events, but it was far enough away that I didn't know barely anything about World War I. So there you go. Anyways, that's it. Let me go off into Wonderland and get ready for my 3 o'clock World War I aerial bombing talk by the World War I Historical Association. Oh yeah, I'll pop in the sources and links later. All right, that's it. Bye guys. See ya. That was an interesting ending. All right, bye.